What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another 90-day fiance video, and this one right here is all about Kimberly. But before we get into it, let's start off by giving a big massive shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel, that is a member of Patreon, and that is a subscriber as we continue to grow. Now, with this video itself in particular, I had to think long and hard about how I wanted to present it. Because originally I said to myself, this isn't really something that I really care to share because, well, the past is the past, but sometimes in life, our past can still be our present. And sometimes in life, our past can also be our future, depending on how much we mature and we learn from our past. And that is why I'm here right now with this video itself in particular. Now, when it comes to In Touch Weekly, they decided to post this. And this is basically information around about Kimberly and her previous relationship, where it does say here that Kim mentioned she was previously married for 20 years to her son's father on the show, but that's not the only marriage in her past. In Touch can exclusively confirm that she was married to a man named Kevin, who is currently in prison for murder. They even remained friends after their marriage ended. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is not information that I would normally care to make content around because, well, one, because it's in your past, and two, it's quite personal, isn't it? But at the same time, that when it comes to reality TV, once you're on there and people may not like you, so a lot of people will start to dig into your life to see what else you've been up to, especially when it reflects to who you are today. And that is exactly why we're here. Now, who is Kimberly today? The sad part of that is that she's someone who doesn't seem to have learned from her own lessons, because on the show itself in particular, she references her marriage to her son's father, and she references the fact that how the marriage was not a happy one, but also the fact that she was then in a relationship with another man that is now in prison. Now, does this necessarily reflect to the fact that their relationship wasn't a good one? Does it reflect to the fact that their relationship may have been potentially a toxic one? Not necessarily, because it does say that they have remained friends. But here's the thing though, ladies and gentlemen, if we're looking at Kim's most recent behavior on the show, 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, as well as her behavior on 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, there's been a recurrence within her attitude, within her behavior, and also her lack of judgment. You would think that someone that's been through a relationship, a long-term relationship, with a man that clearly did not make her happy, and the fact that their relationship was toxic, you would think that after that she would move on and potentially be in a relationship with people that would be less toxic and people that will bring a certain value to her life. And also, most importantly, she wouldn't be as desperate as she has been behaving on the 90-day shows. And this is what it comes down to. Again, just because this man necessarily is in prison, it doesn't necessarily mean that their relationship was bad or anything like that. But it does show us some form of chain of events within her approach to men, in terms of her going for men that may be problematic themselves, going for men that maybe have demons of their own, going for men that maybe just don't bring value to her life, and it seems as if she's the one always bringing value to their life. Now, of course, it is an amazing trait to have, that you want to bring value to other people's lives, whether that is gifting them. But the problem is that when it comes to Kimberly, when she obviously has the ability to gift people, if things doesn't go her way, what happens? She revolts in. She then goes back into a violent state, and this is why we're here now. Again, when it comes to the man himself in question, Kevin, who's now in prison for murder, of course, that shows that clearly Kevin has some kind of violence towards him. Now, whether or not the man is guilty or innocent, you never really know. Either way, though, he's in there for a crime that involves violence, which means he would have been a part of violence in some kind of way. Now, why is this a factor to the video? Well, it's a factor to the fact that if Kimberly talks about being in a toxic marriage and then being in another toxic potential relationship after, and now we're looking at her situation with Usman, where she has thrown things at him in the first season of in their first season on Before the 90 Days, and then now throwing things at him again on their second season on Happily Ever After. It shows a chain of events with her own attitude, and it tells me that she has a tendency to, one, pick men that she's more than happy to spend money on, but also men that aren't necessarily going to appreciate her efforts, and therefore it results in her being physical. And this is one of the biggest problems that Kimberly has with herself, because like I said before, your past is your past, but sometimes in your life, your past can still be your present and your past can still be your future, depending on how you mature from it. Kimberly is someone that, you know what, I really need to get out of the whole phase of calling it Kimberly and just call it Kimberly. I just can't help myself. It's kind of become normal now. Either way, though, let me put some respect on the name. But with Kimberly, she's someone who doesn't seem to have picked up the ability to mature from her I wouldn't call them mistakes, but from her past relationships, from the people that she's gone through in the past. I mean, listen, look at it this way. This time round, she's with someone that isn't necessarily as toxic as her exes, but she's definitely gone with someone that definitely has a demeanor to be like, well, I'm a Nigerian man, so we do things my way or there's no other way. And to be honest with you, the fact that she's around someone who has that persona is already a massive red flag considering the relationship that she's already been in. In fact, to be honest with you, she should be looking for men that arguably you can say that have somewhat of a submissive side to them. It seems to me as if she goes into a relationship hoping to turn a man to become submissive rather than to be with a man that is already submissive. Because as far as I'm concerned, she's more than happy to look after a man in terms of spoiling him, treating him, the whole shebang, as long as she gets that D. Because to be honest with you, the D has always been the main focus for Kimberly's all the way from 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. And obviously right now in Happily Ever After, the D hasn't necessarily been the focus, but marriage has definitely been the focus. Why? So she can get the D all the way into America, which means that the focus is still the same. And I think this is one of the things when it comes to Kimberly, Kimberly, she now needs to be focusing on the fact that, well, a relationship based on emotion, not necessarily based on the physicality of things. Of course, the relationship needs to have both physicality and emotion. 100%, I agree. But when it comes to Kimberly, she seems to ignore the emotional part and rather goes for the physical part, which is one of her biggest flaws. I mean, listen, stereotypically speaking, I guess black men are known for the size of their plume, but at the same time, though, regardless of how big it is, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can use it. But I can only assume that the men that she goes for obviously are able to use it in a way that satisfies her, which obviously puts her in this blind state to continue chasing men that clearly have no intentions of actually appreciating herself. Now, again, when it comes to Kevin, I don't know if he did not appreciate her, because at the end of the day, it does say that they have remained friends, but we can definitely say that that her baby daddy definitely did not appreciate her, at least from what she says. And when it comes to Usman, he definitely does not appreciate her because he's just trying to basically convince her to marry him, but at the same time to allow him to have other kids. I mean, listen, right now, baby girl Lisa is out on the internet streets talking about how she believes that Usman is using Kimberly as a cash cow, as a sugar mama. And to be honest with you, it kind of does look like that. In fact, it does look like that. But again, though, these are things that Kimberly should be looking to really identify in her relationship with Usman, because as far as I'm concerned, it seems to me as if she's carried her past with her into her present and into her future, because maturing from them is something that she's been unable to do. And the saddest part about it is that in one of the most recent episodes, not this week, but the week before that, when she has a conversation with her son, she completely neglected to listen to the fact that he said, "Are you sure this is the right thing?" Because he made it clear that he knows and he feels that this is not the right thing, what she's doing right now with Usman. But as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, you let me know what you are thinking down below in the comment section, because like I said before, our past is our past, but our past can only be our past if we've matured from it. If we're still keeping it going forward, well, then our past is still currently our present. And that is one of the saddest things that we can do to ourselves, given the fact that the past that we have presently is a negative one. Of course, if you've got a positive past and you want to keep it with you because it's something that keeps you grounded, then happy freaking days. You dig what I'm saying? But nonetheless, though, thank you so much for your time. Let me know what you are thinking down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and peace.